Hello everybody, welcome back to YogaCandi. I'm Candace and today I have a live lunchtime yoga for you. Now for those of you that have been joining in on my live classes, you may think, well, why are we doing a live one today? It's kind of because we didn't get round to editing an upload for you and I couldn't leave you hanging. So of course we decided to do a really spontaneous live video for you. So today is going to be all about stretching everything out. So it's going to be great for any of you that are taking a lunch break and you're working in the office today. Going to make sure we stretch out all the bits that we need to keep the body supple for the rest of the afternoon. So it is going to be a little bit of a stronger beginner type of a flow, but I will give very beginner modifications as well. So make sure that you have some blocks handy, or perhaps a couple of thick books that you can stack together, and these will just help you get into some of the poses a little easier. Can you guys just leave me a little comment and let me know that you can hear me okay? I've got my external mic and I just want to make sure it's working well for you before we begin. And remember guys, yoga is all about listening to our body, so just do what you can and don't feel like you have to keep up with some of the flexibility that perhaps I've got. Don't forget, I've done this for quite a long time, so if I tend to get a little deeper than maybe you can, don't feel bad, and just remember that it all comes with practice and with time. All right, and one other thing I wanted to tell you guys before we begin is that we've got a really nice offer for you this month. So head on over to YogaCandi.com and on there you'll see we've got a March offer, and it's all to do with our Skype yoga. So if you've never tried Skype yoga before, it's kind of like having private tuition but online, which is great. So have a look, and your first lesson is for a really, really good price. So go take a look at that. And also sign up to the newsletter if you haven't already, because on the newsletter I'm always going to give you offers like this one and keep you up to date with our live classes and anything else that's going on. And it's not going to be spam, don't worry, it's always yoga related, and I only send one email out a week, so it's up to you what you do with that, but it would be great to have you on board and great to keep you up to date with everything. Right, I'm going to check my internet connection before we begin. It all seems nice and... There we go, we're back on. I'm actually going to do it on 4G because I find that actually is a little bit more reliable, which sounds crazy really. Right, okay guys, let's go over to our mats. Let's start off at the front of the mat. Stand up nice and tall, suck in your belly. Close your eyes, hands by your side. And just become one with your body for a minute here before we begin. Throughout the practice, I'd like you to breathe in and out of the nostrils. Try to keep your inhales and your exhales about the same length. And don't worry if you forget to breathe. All of that comes with time and with practice. So I'm going to keep reminding you of when to inhale and when to exhale. So don't stress about that one. Just any time you notice your mind starting to wander during today's flow, make sure that you come back into the body and listen to your breath once again. And this will bring you back into the present moment and stop you worrying about the past or the future. This is a time for you. Inhale your hands up, touch them above your head, and exhale, fold forward at the hips. Feel free to bend your knees if you need to. If you have the flexibility, keep them nice and straight. Or you can even just start to walk through the legs, bending one leg and extending the other. Just to feel through those hamstrings, see how they're feeling today. Perhaps you're extra stressed, perhaps you're extra tight today. So listen to your body. Become still and allow your head to drop. Grab each elbow and just hang heavy here. Let's take 3 deep breaths. If you find yourself starting to lose balance, perhaps send your gaze just past your nose, just past the nose tip. One more exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands and let's step back into our plank. We're going to hold plank just for a couple of breaths. Push through the shoulders. If you need to drop your knees down to the ground, then do so. Or keep them lifted, but keep your legs as engaged as possible here. Remember to suck in the belly. Take one more deep inhale. And as you exhale, lower down to the belly as slowly as you can, and don't worry if you fall out of it. Inhale, let's take a baby cobra. Lift your hands off of the floor. Arch through the lower back. Head up. Exhale, back down, and let's send our hips up and back into our downward facing dog. Now don't worry if your heels don't touch the ground at this point. That will come with time and practice. And everybody's bodies are different, so perhaps it will never happen for you, and that's okay. Everyone's different. So be where you are today and forgive yourself. If it's not where you want to be, accept it and just smile. Enjoy yourself wherever you are. Send your tailbone up towards the sky. Suck in the belly. Inhale, lift your right leg, only as high as feels comfortable for you. Exhale it towards your chest and bring it between your palms. Now we're going to inhale our hands up to the sky, or you can keep them at your heart center. And now we're in our high lunge. Keep that back heel off of the ground. Suck in your core. Take one more deep breath. Now straighten through the front leg and ever so slightly jump that back leg a little bit closer. Now your blocks may come in handy now, so depending on your flexibility, try to keep your hips squared to the front of the mat by bringing your left hip slightly forward and pushing your right hip a little bit back. Start to lean forward. Suck in your core. If you can, bring your hands all the way down to the ground. If you can't, then use your block or your book and take it to the inside of that right leg and just stay here. Push your tailbone up towards the sky. But if you have the flexibility, come all the way down and just hang heavy and give in to gravity and feel that really intense stretch at the back of the right leg. Take nice deep breaths here. Inhale, look up and bring your hands to your heart center. Really strengthen your legs and come back up into standing. Don't worry if you fall out of it. This is also a little bit of balance here as well. Let's start to bend through that front leg again and step that left leg a little bit further behind us. Back into our high lunge. So lift that heel back off the ground. Hands to your heart center. Take a deep breath here. Inhale, let's take our hands down to the ground and drop that back knee. Send your hips as forward as you can and try to square them off as well. And the way you can do this again is by bringing your left hip slightly forward and sending your right hip a little bit back. You can stay up here on your knee with your hands placed onto your right knee. Now the further back that your left leg is, from the front of the right heel, the harder and the more deep the stretch is going to be. So if this is too much, just bring this leg a little closer, and perhaps you're here, and perhaps this is enough for you, and just stay here. For those of you that want to get a little deeper, rather than having your hands on your knee, let's take our hands down to the mat and just allow your hips to sink even deeper towards the ground. Allow gravity to do the work here. Keep your spine as straight as you can. Remember to suck in the belly. And breathe. To go even a step further, take your right hand over to the right side of the mat. Lift your left arm up and over your ear and bend over towards the right side of the mat. And this will stretch even deeper into the front of the hip on the left side, stretching out that really important psoas muscle. This muscle gets really tense when we sit for a long time during the day. So it's a really important one to stretch, perhaps even just when you get up from your office chair, do like a high lunge type of position and stretch it out every now and then. If anybody's watching from anywhere else in the world, perhaps America or somewhere like that, this may be a morning stretch for you. And the same thing, you've been lying in the same position for hours all night, and it's just really good to stretch out the body. Wherever you are, inhale, and let's send our right hip behind us. So now we're going to come into a half split pose. For those of you that don't have the flexibility, use your books or your block, come up onto it, bring it on the inside of this right foot, and let's stretch down the back of our right hamstring here by sending our foot up towards the sky, so engaging that right foot. If you can, and you've got the flexibility, come all the way down to the ground. Bring your hands to the ground. And the way to get the most out of this pose is to really send your tailbone up towards the sky. Remember to suck in the belly and only go as far as feels comfortable. The main thing is to keep the spine straight and to send the hips up towards the sky. So you're imagining you're pointing your tailbone up. We're going to take one more deep breath. Now let's bend through the right leg once again. Come up onto your back toes. Inhale, lift your arms up for your high lunge. Once again, look up. And let's open up into Warrior Two. So that back foot should now be around about a 45-degree angle to the back of the mat. Bend through the front leg. Open your arms out and look at your right fingertips. One more deep breath. Inhale, reach forward. And as you exhale, start to lean backwards, taking that right arm up above you. And then straighten through the front leg. Now keep your legs as strong as possible, and you're welcome to walk that back leg slightly closer towards the right heel if you need to. We're going to come into our triangle pose. So now keep your hips squared to the side of the mat. So your hips are nice and open, sorry, not squared. You can use your block or your book and take it down on the outside of the right foot this time. And inhale, your left hand up into the sky and look up towards your hand. If this is uncomfortable on your neck, perhaps look down or just look straight ahead. Now if you have the flexibility, you can bring that right arm on the outside of the right leg. Open up through the hips. Suck in your core. And either look up towards your fingertips or look to the side or down, wherever feels most comfortable for your neck. Take one more deep breath here, in through the nose and out through the nose. Now let's bend through the right leg, plant your hands down, framing that foot, and let's step back into our plank. Keep your plank as strong as possible, really engaging the legs, pushing your shoulder blades apart. If you need to, drop your knees. Now we're going to exhale. Now take this all the way down to your belly, or do a chaturanga into your upward facing dog. So I'm going to chaturanga into upward facing dog, which is where your thighs should be off of the ground, or take a baby cobra like we did before. Inhale, send your hips up and back into your downward facing dog, and give your dog a little walk here, feeling through the hamstrings once again. When you're ready, become still, and we're going to take a couple of breaths and repeat all of that on the other side. If you need to take a child's pose, feel free to do that. Remember to listen to your body and to do what feels right for you. When you're ready, if you're in child's pose, come back up into your downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up into the air, only as high as you can. Exhale it to your chest and step it as far forward as you can. Don't worry if you didn't get it between your palms, just wiggle your foot forward. And when you're ready, strengthen your legs, strengthen the core, and inhale, let's lift our hands up. Now you can take your hands to your heart center, or you can raise them up. We're only going to be here for a couple of breaths. Now, let's walk, first of all, straighten through the left leg. Slightly step that back leg a little closer. You can place it on the ground, your heel on the ground now. And start to lean forward, keeping your hips in line with the front of your mat. So send your left hip slightly forward and your right hip slightly back. Start to lean forward, and remember to use your block or your books if you need to. So come up onto your prop and just be here. If you can, then take your hands down to the ground. Suck in the core. Strengthen that right leg by lifting the kneecap up towards the body. And the same on the left leg. Make sure your legs are engaged here, and don't lock this left knee. Allow gravity to do the work here, and for you to just lean forward and feel that really intense, beautiful stretch at the back of the hamstring. Take some deep breaths here. Inhale, look up. Exhale, let's start to bend through that front leg, and let's drop the back knee down to the ground. Let's stretch out the psoas muscle on the right side now. Inhale, come up. Place your hands onto your leg, or you can even actually use your prop here and stay up on your prop as well. Take it to the inside of this left leg. If you want to go a little deeper, inhale your hands up to the sky and allow gravity to just sink the hips even lower down towards the ground. Or you can take your hands to your heart center. Just do what feels most comfortable for your neck and for your shoulders. Remember to keep your hips square. Send that right hip slightly forward and the left hip slightly back. Suck in your belly. You've got this, guys. If you want to go a little deeper, take the left hand over to the left side of the mat and inhale, lift your right arm up towards the sky. Beginners, you can stay in that first position with your hands on your knee. And let's just feel through the body. Not only does this stretch out the psoas, it also gets the side body, which is so beautiful when you've been sitting all day, or if you've been sleeping all night. Take 2 more deep breaths. Now let's take our hands out in front and frame our left foot. Send the hips back for our half splits. Point the left toes up towards the sky, suck in the belly. And if you're a beginner, remember to come up onto your prop. Take it to the inside of the left leg and just stay up like this. If you have to bend your knee, then bend your knee. But if you have the flexibility, take your hands to either side of that left foot. Keep your hips squared off. Send your tailbone up towards the sky. Suck in the core. Feel free to close your eyes. And just allow your head to drop down. Enjoy the stretch in the back of the hamstring here. Keep breathing. One more deep breath. Inhale, let's come back up and bend through the left leg, straighten through the right. Give yourself a minute here. Take that back heel off of the ground. Keep your legs as strong as possible here. We're going to inhale into our high lunge. Inhale up, take your hands to the sky or to your heart center or even to your knee if you just don't have the strength today. Now inhale, open up to the left side. Coming in, I'm going to face the other way so that you can see me. Coming into our warrior two. So keep the hips open. Your back foot should be around a 45-degree angle to the back of the mat. Bend through the front knee and look at your left fingertips this time. Take a deep breath. One more. Inhale, reach forward, and as you exhale, start to bend back and lift your left arm up into the sky. Then straighten through that front leg. We're going to come down into our triangle pose. Now remember, you can always use your prop. So your legs are as they were. If you need to bring the back leg a little closer, feel free to do that. Take your prop to the outside of this left leg. Keep the body open, your chest up towards the sky, and open up through the right arm. If you have the flexibility, remove your prop and come all the way down to the ground. Look wherever feels comfortable for your neck, up towards the sky, straight ahead or even down. Take one more deep breath here. And let's start to bend through the right leg once again. Bring your left hand down to the ground. Come up off of the, lift your back heel off the ground. Plant your hands and we're going to step back into our plank. Feel free to drop the knees. Take a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. As you inhale, lean forward. Exhale, come down to chaturanga or all the way down to your belly. Inhale into your baby cobra. Exhale, let's send our hips up and back into downward facing dog. Feel free to take a child's pose here. This is going to be our last downward facing dog, guys. We're going to finish off with some hip openers. Inhale your right leg as high as you can. Don't worry if it can't get very high. Exhale, bring it to your palms. Now you want to open up through that knee, open up through that hip, by taking your knee to the outside of that right palm and your foot to the outside of the left. Start to come down. This is called Pigeon Pose. We're going to come down to Sleeping Pigeon. Now the more squared off your leg is to the front of the mat, the more intense the stretch is going to be in your hips. And now not everybody has very open hips, and that's got nothing to do with how long you've been doing yoga. Some people just have very open hips. I still struggle with my hips actually, and it's been quite a few years. Just stay up nice and tall on your fingertips here, and you should feel a stretch down the inside of that psoas muscle on the left side. And then you should also feel a stretch here, maybe a bit more in the bum side of your right hip here. If you're not feeling the stretch in that left leg, you can always lift it up if possible and perhaps just bring it a little closer towards your body. And then let's come down onto the forearms. If this is enough, just stay up on your forearms. If you want to go into full sleeping pigeon, then let's take our bodies over that leg and come down onto your palms. Try to keep your back long and as straight as possible. You can take your forehead to your palms, or to the back of your hand, should I say. And just rest here, feeling that stretch through the right hip. It may be quite intense now that you've come down. If it's too much, just come up again and stay up on your fingertips for a minute. This is a really, really good stretch to do, guys, especially if you're sitting a lot at the moment. Because we always sit in this uncomfortable position of in a seat with our legs bent. That's not really how our bodies are designed. And of course, so it's going to cause us loads of problems. So perhaps try to do this stretch as often as you can, maybe when you get home from work. And just remember, the closer your heel is towards your left hip on this side, the easier the stretch is going to be. The more squared off the front of the shin is to the front of the mat, the harder it's going to be. Take one more deep breath. Slowly lift up if you were all the way down. Lift your hands up. Come back up. And untuck the toes on the back leg. Plant your hands and lift yourself up. Step that foot back. And let's come into our downward facing dog. Take your time getting there and just walk through the legs a second to stretch out what you've just done. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. So inhale your left leg as high as you can. And exhale, take it to your palms. Now take that knee to the left palm and that foot to the outside of the right palm. The closer the foot is in towards the body, the easier this is going to be. The less intense it's going to be. Send that right hip behind you a little further back and stay up on your hands, up on your fingertips. This should create a bit of a back bend here as well. So if this is quite uncomfortable on your back, then perhaps just lean forward a little bit. For those of you that are complete beginners that think this is really not accessible for me, you can actually use your prop and use it underneath your left hip. So to prop yourself up, you can come up like this and use it underneath your hip and just stay there. That's another option for you. And then slowly with time, you'll get lower and lower down towards the ground. Now, if you want to get a deeper stretch at the front of this the right leg, then start to lift that if possible and grab onto the foot and perhaps bring it a little closer towards your body. But only until it feels comfortable. Don't stress yourself. Do what feels right. Slowly release that leg and let's come back down for our sleeping pigeon on this side. So either stay up on your forearms with your back as straight as possible. Allow both your hips to sink down towards the ground, staying on that left sit bone. Or you can come all the way down, bringing your forehead down to your hands. Keep breathing here and direct your breath into that left hip. When you're ready, take one more deep breath in and out of the nose. Inhale, come up onto your palms. Using the strength of your legs, untuck the toes at the back, and let's lift our hips up and back into our downward facing dog. Walk your legs out just for a second, suck in your belly. And then let's come down onto our knees and take a comfortable seat. This can be a cross-legged position of your choice. Or you can take a half lotus or even a full lotus, whatever feels comfortable. We're just going to take a spinal twist here. So inhale, let's take our right arm to the left knee and look behind us. Take one more breath. Inhale your hands to the sky and let's take it over to the other side. So take your left arm to your right leg and look behind you, taking your right arm behind you. Feeling that nice spinal twist. Come back up to the center. Inhale your hands up and take them down to your heart. Let's do one more stretch. For those of you that might have to get on with your day, maybe you need to get back to lunch, feel free to end it here, but take a few moments to close your eyes and just breathe. If you have the time to join me, let's come into butterfly. Take your feet together, allow your legs to fall out to the side. Don't worry if your legs are up here. If they're not as open as mine, that's absolutely fine. Okay, sit up nice and tall and flap your wings for a minute. This is also a really good one to do if you've been sitting at a desk all day. Again, this is brilliant because it stretches through your, I can't even think of what, through your hip flexors, which again is something that really tightens up throughout the day. So this is a good one. And when you're ready, inhale and start to lean forward. Only come as far as feels comfortable. Start to maybe walk your hands forward. And maybe this is as far as you can go, then stay here. If you want to, maybe come down onto your forearms. If you have even more flexibility and you want to get a little deeper, then you can take your head all the way down to the ground. But listen to your body and feel how it feels today. Some days you'll be tighter than others, so never beat yourself up about that. Our bodies go through a lot and every day is different. Okay, I'm going to come a little lower. Wherever you are, take one more deep breath in and out of the nostrils. Inhale yourself up and walk back. Grab your knees, bring them in towards your body, give them a nice squeeze. And come back into a comfortable seat. Whichever way you had your legs crossed, try to cross them the opposite way this time. Now we're just going to sit up nice and tall. Engage the core ever so slightly. Hands to your knees. Close your eyes and very slightly drop your chin. Let's take about 10 breaths here before we continue with our day. Try to listen to your body and listen to your breath. Start to allow your breath to become more natural. No forcing of the breath here. Feel how your body feels after all those stretches. Start to become aware of how your chest moves up and down with the motion of your breath. Take one more breath here. You're welcome to sit here and meditate for as long as you would like before you begin your day. But if you need to continue, then inhale your hands up to the sky. Bring your palms together, draw them to your heart center. Bow your head to your palms and thank yourself for showing up on the mat today. Be proud that you've given your body this time. Namaste. I'm going to come closer to you guys. I really hope you've enjoyed this flow today. I hope it's made your bodies feel a little bit better, ready for the rest of the day. Take this with you and remember that these videos will always be available to you. So if there's a time where you think, actually that flow made me feel great, I'd like to do that again, then give it a thumbs up, and that way it'll be in your saved videos and you can come back to it a lot easier. You don't have to search through everything to find it. And guys, if this is your first time to YogaCandi, then give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel so that you can support free yoga. It really does help and it means a lot. So until next time, everybody, just so you know, we've got a free class, live class Wednesday night. So feel free to join me there as well. Until next time, namaste.